deepest of Pacific, yellows of the Parkway, deepest of Pacific, yellows of the Parkway, deepest of Pacific, yellows of the Parkway, deepest of Pacific, Parkway, deepest of Pacific, yellows of the Parkway, deepest of Pacific, yellows of the Parkway, deepest of Pacific,
Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today we are going over the NHL season since we are officially at the quarter mark. I know I did a little preview about everything that you need to know before the NHL season starts. Kind of wanted to do something at the quarter mark, keep up with the NHL content a little bit. So what I'm going to do today is that I'm going to rank each team, give them a word that I would describe their season so far, talk about them for just a little bit, and then move on. There's 32 teams, so there's a lot to go through, and I don't want to make this like an hour-long video. So, and while I'm yapping, I have players' stats, their record in their division, and then key injuries that might keep guys out for a while, whether it's guys on injury reserve, long-term injury reserve. If they're week to week, I'll kind of leave out the day-to-day because players can come back at any time. And of course, all of these stats are temporary as I am filming this on the 20th and the 21st of November. So numbers can change, injuries can happen, guys can get off injury. So whenever you're watching this, this could be outdated. The team we have up first is, of course, Anaheim. I would give them a grade of A, and my word would be igniting. Slowly but surely, the Ducks have been going along in this rebuild. Seems like they got a good amount of tools there. It's starting to translate into winning games. They're a good team to watch. Next, I have the Boston Bruins with an A-. Along with an A-, I give them the word of resurgence. The Bruins kind of look like one of those teams that was dead in the water. Didn't really know what to expect out of them this year, but they're pretty good, and they look like the good old Bruins again. So I'm wondering what happens throughout the course of the season. If they can stay healthy, they can continue just grinding out games and get into playoffs. Next up is the Buffalo Sabres. I got to give them a D. And the word I'd use for the Sabres is typical. The Sabres once again have a underwhelming roster that doesn't really speak to me, doesn't really show me that they're ready to win games yet, that they're ready to compete for playoffs. If you're a Sabres fan, I'm sorry. I don't know where up is. You guys are just kind of plateaued in the middle. Like, it's only down, sideways, and then back down. I don't know what to tell you guys. I'm sorry. For the Carolina Hurricanes, I got to give them an A-. They are a very scary team, but I give them an A- simply because it's what we expect out of them. They're regular season gods. They play insane during the regular season, but I'd like to see what they can do during playoffs. It seems like they're winning games that they would need to during playoff time, and that's a good sign. The word I would give the Carolina Hurricanes is dominance. Next up, I got the Calgary Flames. Unfortunately, you guys are a D-. I would give you guys an F, but you guys are strategically trying to lose, and I think that's a good thing. So I'm going to botch you guys up to a D- instead of just an F. You guys have a plan, trying to get McKenna, and it's working out for you guys. For the Flames, I would give them on track. Next up, we have the Chicago Blackhawks, and unfortunately, I have to give them an A. And the word I'm going to use for them to describe their season so far is revival. The way that they are pushing out games, the way that Bedard is really stepping into the superstar role. This team could look like the Blackhawks dynasty from the 2010s sooner than we thought, and that's scary for a team that is in the Central Division. Next up, we have the Colorado Avalanche. Not only am I going to give them an A, but the word that I would use to describe them is brilliance. These guys have looked insanely good. McKinnon is probably looking like the best player in the world right now. Argue with a wall. The things that he's doing is insane. They have Landeskog back full time, and even though that he's not adding to the score sheet, you can tell how much he means to that locker room just by being back. The Avs have a stacked team. It's really hard to say that they are not going to win the cup this year, or at least make it all the way to the cup final. They're due for a deep run. Next up, we have the Blue Jackets, and the word I would use for them is irrelevancy, but with a question mark. Chris Simmons recently came out and said that they were the most irrelevant sports franchise in North America, and a lot of people were mad about it, but it's kind of true. When you have one playoff series win in the 25 years of your existence and nothing really else to show for it, kind of makes a statement. But the reason why I add the question mark is they can prove everybody wrong. They're playing great right now. I would give them a B. Next up, we have the Dallas Stars. I'm going to give them a B. And I'm going to say that my word for them is curious. They're playing how we want them to play and how we expect them to play from a fan standpoint. But can the offense continue to work? Can they keep that core going and healthy for the rest of the season? And when it comes down to playoff time, are we looking at a first round loss? Are we going back to the conference finals? Are we maybe making the Stanley Cup final? Nobody knows. So I'm pretty curious. Next, we got the Detroit Red Wings, and they get a B- from me. The word I'd use for them is steady. They're winning games at a pretty good rate, but they just got to keep climbing. Detroit is one of those teams where you really just have to eat up all the games that you can in the beginning of the season, because when you get to that dog days of February and January in the schedule, it's really hard to grind out those games, especially since it's an Olympic year. There's a lot of injuries in the league right now. So if they can continue stacking wins right now and then coast through those dog days of the schedule, I think they'll make playoffs. Next up is the Edmonton Oilers, and unfortunately, I have to give them a D. Now, the difference between D and F on my list is you guys are losing and losing bad, and D is you're losing, but you're climbing out. For them, I gotta call them unreliable. Even though they have two of the best players in the world in Draisaitl and McDavid, I really feel like the past two cup runs has really taken a toll on them. And I think that they have this plan in the back of their minds that if they just coast through the schedule, make it to a wild card, just get in the playoffs somehow, they'll be able to make a deep run. But defense and goalie has been their main issue for years now, and I think it's really starting to hit them in the face. Speaking of coasting until playoffs, I have the Florida Panthers next, and they have a C-. The word I'd use for them is patient. Paul Maurice said at the beginning of the season, a lot of guys who have been doing their NHL takes have pretty much said that if the Panthers just try and sneak into the playoffs somehow with injuries to most of their core players, and if they can make it back by playoffs, they'll be good. When this team is fully healthy, I can't rule them out from making a deep cup run, maybe even winning. So I give them a C- because they're trying the best that they can. They're winning games decently well, and we're just waiting for them to get fully healthy again to see what they can really do. Not having Barkov and Tkachuk in the lineup right now is hurting them, but Marchand is literally putting the team on his back. Next up, I got the Los Angeles Kings, and pun intended, my word for them is chess. I give them a B rating because they're doing literally all the right moves. They're taking advantage of the fact that Edmonton is not the same Oilers that they look like. That Edmonton is not the same team that they have been. So they are really trying to take over the Pacific, make sure that they get a good seeding for playoffs. And I'm curious to see what they do in the Kopitar situation since he's retiring at the end of the season. Do they go all in at the trade deadline? Do they really try and go on that run? Because the last thing you want to do is run into Edmonton in the playoffs again, especially in that first round. Next up, I got the Minnesota Wild. I got to give these guys a C+. And I got to say that their word is trying. They started off the season pretty bad, ended up in a pretty big hole. I mean, they're just trying to climb out of it. I would rank them differently, but I think C+ is kind of fair, because they dug themselves in a pretty big hole and they might be winning pretty well right now, but you still got to try and mismatch those losses a little. Next up, I got the Montreal Canadiens. I give them a B, and I got to say they're exciting. His team is so fun to watch on a night in and night out basis. They started off really hot, but injuries are starting to derail them a little bit. So I'd say with the injuries, they fell out of the A category. I'm going to put them in B. I still think that's really fair. Montreal's an exciting team, and if they can make it to the finish line, get to playoffs, that'll be exciting to see, especially for that young core. Next, I have the Nashville Predators, and they get a D. They are a mess right now, and they would be an F if they did not look like this last year. I mean, I just got to call the Predators a disappointment. I just have to. That's their word. You can really tell that their GM, Barry Trotz, put all their eggs in one basket and put all their money on black, and ended up losing the house over it. They overpaid for a lot of veterans. They don't have a really good prospect pool. They're just kind of in this no man's land, and there's not much to do about it. We could probably expect to see some of those guys get dealt if teams want to touch their contracts with a 30-foot pole. Next up, we have the New Jersey Devils, and I'd give this team an A-. They're playing a really good brand of hockey right now, but unfortunately, injuries keep getting in the way, especially to their star player in Jack Hughes. After a freak incident where he ended up slicing his hand, his finger, whatever, he's now listed as month to month. And considering how much he contributes to the scoring on that team, it's gonna be up or down from here. Even though they're playing great hockey, they're now missing their superstar player, but I will be fair and keep them at an A- because they've been playing great. But the word I'd use is unlucky, because it seems like it's an ongoing trend for the Devils where one of their big time star players ends up getting injured and it affects the season somehow. Next up, I got the New York Islanders, and I got to give them an A. The word I'm going to use for them is bright, because that's the way that their future looks. Matthew Schaefer is truly the real deal. Everybody gets a little skeptical when a defenseman goes first overall, but he has looked the part. He is playing heavy minutes. He has put a revival into this team, and they're winning games, and for the first time, the Islanders brand of hockey does not look boring. Next up, I have the New York Rangers, and they get a C-. Now, I'm going to say that their word for them is confused, because what are they doing? They can't win at home. They're getting shut out at home. They look embarrassing to play in the best arena in the world. Zibanejad looks lost. JT Miller, who was a huge addition in the offseason, isn't really adding up to his expectations. And they slapped a C on his chest and gave him the captaincy. So it's confusing over there in the Big Apple. The Ottawa Senators, they are a B-. And to me, they are gritty. The Panthers aren't the only team missing a Tkachuk right now. With their captain Brady Tkachuk being out, it's hard to see where they're going. Everybody thought that when Brady went out, things would look a little bleak, but turns out they're doing just fine. They're a pretty gritty team, and they're grinding out games. They're proving that they belong in the playoffs, and they want to go back. Next up is the Philadelphia Flyers. I got to give them a B. While the Cutter-Gauthier trade isn't really working in their favor so far, I think that they're truly starting to find their identity a little bit, because the big problem was, how do you look after firing John Tortorella? While I think that them having to deal with Cutter-Gauthier might be biting them in the ass a little bit, I do think that them trading for Zegras was a great addition for them. It's really let him blossom and become the player that we've all kind of expected him to be, that he's kind of missed the past couple of seasons, especially since he leads them in all categories offense-wise. And their main goal right now is not to stint the growth of Mitkay Michkov. So I gotta say that their word is interesting, because it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. I don't think that they make the playoffs, and especially in their division this year, but it'll be interesting to see if they take a step towards that by the end of the season. Next up, we got the other Pennsylvania team in the Pittsburgh Penguins, and I gotta give them an A. And their word is timeless, because the core three that they got between Letang, Malkin, and Olsid the kid, they look like their younger selves. They're winning games in good fashion, and Crosby looks like he's taken out all of the tension of people saying that he should go to Montreal or Colorado and shouldn't retire a Penguin, and taking it out on other teams. I mean, they're completely defying expectations that everybody had for them, where you think that they'd, still be in the basement and end up missing playoffs again, but they look like almost the division frontrunners. Next up, I have the San Jose Sharks, and I got to give them a B+. The word I'd use to describe them is working, because that's what the rebuild is doing. It is definitely working. Between Macklin Celebrini and Will Smith, and just overall taking the rebrand of the team and really just having that rebuild work for them is doing wonders. I'm curious to see whether or not it translates into a playoff spot. They got a long ways to go. The West is absolutely stacked this year. So if they don't make playoffs, it's okay. But if they finish off strong, it's a win and a step in the right direction. Next up, I have the Seattle Kraken, and I got to give them a B. And for me, I got to give them invisible. They're playing really well right now, but you're not hearing too much out of them, which I think at this stage in the season is a good sign. You don't want to bring too much attention to yourself and how well you're playing. So to come into somebody else's barn, knock them in the teeth, and go quietly into the night is always a good thing. The main concern here is if they can stay healthy and keep working at it. Next up, I've got my St. Louis Blues, and I got to give them a straight F. The word I'd call them right now is losers, because that's just what they are. This team stinks. We've got bad contracts all around. We've got coaches going back and blaming players, scratching Kyrou. There's rumors that just about everybody is on the trade table right now. They are absolutely looking to blow this up. And the worst part about it is that our head coach is brand new. So if we fire him, it will pretty much put us in hell. Like, there's no way about it. We're losers. Tampa Bay Lightning, you got C for me. And the word I'd use is complacent. They're not lighting the world on fire as they normally do, but they're not sucking so bad. I think they're kind of complacent where they are right now. I mean, we got to remember that the core is getting a lot older, and they've had some pretty deep playoff runs in the past, and it's pretty much at the point where it's caught up to them. So I'd say that they could still put it in gear and make playoffs and go on a deep run. But right now, I think they're just taking it slow. Next up, we have the Toronto Maple Leafs. And they are not F category, but they are a D-. It's no secret that the Leafs are spiraling right now. I think them losing Mitch Marner is actually looking worse and worse for them by the day. And if anything, I would start questioning Austin Matthews, because he's the new star of this team. He's the face of the franchise, and he looks like garbage. It also doesn't help that he's not staying healthy right now, but I mean, where do you go from here? They got a lot of questions to figure out, but right now they look lost, and that's my word for them. Next up, we have the Utah Mammoth. I'm going to give them a B, and my word for them is calculated, because I think it's fair to say that with everything Ryan Smith, their owner, is doing for the team, and the way that this roster has slowly been building up, even when they were still the Arizona Coyotes, seems calculated. They truly are like riding a hot hand right now. They're keeping up with everybody in the Central Division. If this team can stay consistent, I have no doubt in my mind that this is the plan all along for them. Next up, I have the Vancouver Canucks. Them getting rid of JT Miller looked like light at the end of the tunnel, especially with the feud, beef, whatever you want to call it, between Elias Pettersson and JT Miller. But now the question remains is, hey, we got rid of him, so we're considering you our guy. What can you do? And I think it's just, they're in no man's land. So I got to call the Canucks stagnant right now. Next up is the Vegas Golden Knights, and I got to give them a C-. I don't care to cover Vegas. Their word for me is disgusting, and that's because they signed Carter Hart. End of story. I'll have a video about that. Next up is the Washington Capitals. I give them a C, and the word I'd use for them is wondering, because it kind of makes you wonder with that team on if they truly can keep competing. I don't know if they'll win a cup, especially with how, lopsided the league is and top heavy it is, because they'd have to slay some real giants to end up doing that. But team's fun to watch. I think they're just riding off the Ovi vibes, and that's totally okay. And then last but not least, we have the Winnipeg Jets. and I give them a B. The word I'd use for them is cruising, mostly because I think that they're doing what a lot of playoff teams do now, where they simply just cruise through games, let Hellebuck do his thing throughout the regular season, and then the real test comes in playoffs. As a Blues fan, I think we expose a lot of Hellebuck's game in the playoffs. So my real test to them is, can they truly go on a deep playoff run? Because this is year what of their window being open and they haven't done anything with it. So what do you do to get good? What do you do to make a deep playoff run? We got to figure it out. This league is fun to watch outside of being a St. Louis Blues fan. There's a whole lot going on. We got Olympic hockey coming up in February. So you already know that some players are having their eye on that and wanting to play their hearts out, trying to make a roster. If you guys want to be more in tune about the Olympic Games coming up and how that affects the NHL, I can go ahead and make a video about that. Just let me know in the comments. But let me know what you guys thought about this video. Who is your team? Do you think I ranked them fairly? Where do you think that they stand on the season, quarter of the way through? And I'm thinking I'll be back for the halfway point of the season and start predicting who makes playoffs and who is going to be missing out. But in the meantime, I hope you guys like this video. Please like, share, comment, subscribe. Doesn't have to be in that order, but I'll see you guys in the next one.